We're back.
Welcome to part 2.
Welcome to this thing we're continuing to do.
Exactly. This is 16.5, which is a joke.
And if you watched 16, you'll understand why.
Yeah.
So, Greta. We went to see a movie called Greta. It was a horror movie.
So, it was not on our watch list originally.
Yeah, because it was a little under the radar a bit.
Yeah. So then I opened up the Cineplex app to see what's playing, see how many scene points I got. And it has this, photo from Greta, and it's a horror poster. I'm like, oh, there's a horror movie out right now?
Yeah.
So I watched the trailer, which I hadn't seen yet. And I'm like, whoa, this looks good. And it's that girl from Kick-Ass, and I'm like,
yeah.
I like her, and I've seen a bunch of movies.
Grace something. Right?
Chloe, I think.
Chloe something. Yeah, you're right. Not Grace. Chloe. Don't know why I thought Grace.
I think I said Grace because I was thinking of someone else another time. Like, I got people confused.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm like, oh, what's this? So I watched the trailer and then I sent it to you and we're like, why not? We should see this one because we do horror movies a lot of the time and, it's been a while.
The trailer made it look like a pretty interesting concept. It was a good idea.
It was a good idea. So we're like, all right.
And then after the movie, it was like, that was laughably bad.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't like it. Did you not like it? Or did you like it?
I didn't think it was laughably bad.
I didn't think
did
it was
we not
good.
talk about this after? Because
No,
I'm like,
did
wait,
not.
what?
I don't think we did.
We didn't talk.
Or I think we did, but I've had some time to think about it, and I was kind of...
Now I'm like, have to rethink right
not
now.
in my right mind. But no, it was... because the main characters just kept making stupid choices. They also made some smarter choices that you don't see often in horror movies. Like, she called the cops. So, that's like okay. At least you did that. But the cops seemed so stupid. Like,
well, I hate in movies when someone's getting, or in anything, when someone's getting stalked and the cops are like, all this red tape and whatever. And being stalked is not something to take lightly.
yeah, exactly.
And, what she's doing, and she's staring at her in a public place, is actually illegal in the United States. So they're wrong. And I know that, so it was making me mad. And I know someone who got stalked, and it was really, really intense and really bad. So I know that this is not, file this form, blah, 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 blah. No, that's not how
it's like
actual...
a criminal case.
It's a criminal case. It's,
And then when they
insane.
finally caught her... she was just put into a mental institution for like 2 days and then let out.
Yeah, so like when she finally did something crazy, like tear up her restaurant, she wasn't granted an immediate temporary restraining order, as you should be, and how it works in the fucking United States. So I watched Judge Judy, I know.
Yeah.
Nothing. She's not given anything, and she's harassing her at work. And yeah, she's standing in a public place staring at her. And I feel like also too, like, they were pointing out, like, oh, it's a woman, so it's like, oh, they're not gonna, you know what I mean? Like, if it was the same story and it was a man, I feel like they would,
be a little more like,
yeah, but, oh, it was creepy. And I hate when it's like that, because it's serious. It's serious. It's not like, oh, it's just a little old lady. No. She literally tore up her work one time.
Yeah.
Well, not tore up. She, like, caused this. Well, she did. She, like, threw wine glasses and tossed a table and stuff.
Later in the movie.
Later in the movie. But it was pretty early in the movie. The movie had a pretty lot of weird twists.
It kept going on.
Yeah, I thought it was ramping up or ramping down, and then it
did
going.
Feel a little like, okay, we still going?
Yeah.
Part of it was like, half of me was like, I feel like this movie has reached its natural conclusion, but at the same time, I do still want to see how it keeps. I just do want it to keep going. So a bit of me was like happy, but also at the same time, I was like, it's reached its natural conclusion. So,
yeah. I think we're going to just talk about this movie in a bit of a random fashion. Or do you want to go...
Let's go spoilers?
Let's just go fuck it. Spoil this shit.
Wait,
no one's seeing it
before that, though. Did you like it?
Well, I had fun watching it.
Yeah, I had fun watching it, too, but it just wasn't a good movie.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Some parts were cool. Some parts were good, but some parts were weird. Like, really weird.
Yeah. I also...
like, weird in a bad way.
After we watched it, like, I saw Instagram video from one of my friends, like, on her story, of them just tearing the movie apart. And I was like, you're 100% right. It was not a great movie. But, no, spoilers now.
So, she gets stalked by this woman because she picks up her bag on the subway. We see that in the trailer. And, you know, she brings it to her house. And then all of a sudden, she just, like, goes into this woman's house. And is, like having tea with
red flag, too. But it's also...
And then she's, like, making conversation.
It's also kind of within character, too. Because, like, her mom just died. And she moved away from small town.
In 2019, I don't care how
2019, it's still, like... Yeah, but also at the same time, small town mentality is a bit of like a everyone's your neighbor. Where even her roommate says, you're in the big city now, you gotta start hating everybody.
No, that's not what I mean. It was so awkward. Mm-hmm. It was just like, oh, I'm just gonna go have tea with this woman in her house and like ask her about her dead relatives and photos. Like, who talks like this? Who would just go into someone's house? I don't even know if I would go into someone's house in a small town. I would never go into someone's house.
I've done that on like bottle drives. Like this old grandma was like, "Oh, just come in. I'll grab the bottles." And so I grabbed
that's
in.
Different.
Would you like some tea?
That's different. You had a reason to go in the house in the first place because she needed help getting the fucking bottles or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, just like, oh, here's your purse. Here's the natural conclusion of this interaction. Oh, do you want to come into my home when you don't know me? And I'm not, like, that old. I'm not, like, an old grandma. Like, she's old, but she's not that old. She's not, like, gray-haired and, like... Yeah.
She was, like, old enough to... If, like, her daughter had, like, had a child, like, at a...
But she's not, like...
1920.
She's not, like... hard of hearing and needing a cane. Like, she's not an elderly woman. She's an older woman. She's not an elderly woman. She's not in her 90s.
Yeah.
She's just a woman. She's like, oh, she's some old lady. She's not even an old lady.
She's kind of old.
But she's not elderly. She's not elderly.
She's at least in her, like, 50s.
Yeah, that's not old.
It's not too old, but it's still, like, she's on the older 60s, side. It's over the hill.
Yeah, but, you know, a little old 6-year-old doesn't need help with the groceries. A little old lady getting the bottles is probably, like, really old.
Yeah, she was probably in her 60s.
But you know what I mean? Like, elderly.
You were just saying... Wait, what?
She's not elderly. She's old, but she's not elderly.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
So it's not even like, oh, here, dearie, help me with something.
I thought she would be... From the trailer, I thought she'd be really scary. She was just hilarious to watch because she she started dancing in like weird moments and
but like she was she's not frail at all or anything.
Her backstory too that we learned from like her dead daughter's widow. Were they married or just fiance? I don't know. Either way,
her live-in partner. So you can say widow. That works.
Yeah, but
we're not the government. We don't judge.
She said to Chloe, what's her name?
I don't know her name in the movie either. Whatever. Yeah. Her. Main girl.
She said to Small Town. That's what we'll call her.
Her name is Wichita in Zombieland. No, that's not her.
That's not her.
Fuck, I'm mixing up my people.
I forgot that we watched Zombieland together.
Zombieland 2 is coming out.
Yeah, that is happening.
Yeah. No, sorry, she's not Little Miss Sunshine. She's Hit Girl, so
yeah,
different person.
But yeah, so she. And
anyway, it's Little Rock. What am I?
Okay. Anyway, so the widower is like.
Widower's a man.
Widow. Whatever. Just let me keep going. The widow is like. Greta's not French. Something's mentally ill with her. I don't know what that French act is. And it's like...
She's Hungarian.
So it's a bit of like a... Oh my god, this lady is like so laughably over the top. Because even if you're mentally snapped, you don't just make up a fake backstory of being French.
And it
or at least not a common mentally ill person.
And the thing is, she wasn't even mentally ill. Like, she was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a difference between being just nuts and being mentally ill. There's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
She was just, you know what? I'm going to kidnap some girls today. In her right mind. She wasn't like...
But she wasn't in her right mind because she was... thought she was French.
She didn't think she was French.
I thought she did.
No,
she didn't lose the accent.
When she was so after she kidnaps her, and she's in her house, she's talking to her, not in French, in Hungarian.
Oh, that's what that was.
She's talking to her.
I knew it wasn't French.
And teaching her Hungarian things. She's not really, she doesn't think she's French.
Mm-hmm.
She knows she's not French.
Yeah.
Because I know Hungarian enough to at least recognize it when it's being spoken.
Yeah.
Because my family's Hungarian.
Yeah.
I know some words, but not very many.
Like what a wooden spoon is?
We're not going to go there. Because if it's not true, I don't want to get anyone in trouble.
Yeah.
And she knows, like, it's not like she's kidnapping them because she literally starts believing they're her daughter. She's like, I don't know. She just starts kidnapping them because she can. And maybe they were trying to go for mentally...
I thought it was that she... Not that she believed, but that she was trying to replace her daughter.
But she knows she's trying to replace her daughter. Mm-hmm. A mentally ill person will dissociate in between knowing it's really not her daughter, but it being her daughter.
Yeah.
And she didn't do that.
Yeah.
She was
that's why I'm saying she was like so laughable as a character though, because she was underwritten and underperformed. Well, overacted a bit.
But like, she knew what she was doing. You know what I mean? So she wasn't. It wasn't like the people in The Visit, mm-hmm. where they were actually mentally ill, and then they came up with this batshit plan, and then it just went crazy, which is kind of like mm-hmm. what you'd think this movie would be.
Yeah, but
no, she had like clear logical she wouldn't be able to be tried and put it as insane or whatever.
Yeah.
She would be in jail for mm-hmm. her crimes. She was able to elude police. She was able to fix the bullet holes in her wall after the police shot it up and she killed the cop. She was able to dispose of bodies. She was able to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
That she wouldn't be able to do if she was just like mentally ill.
Exactly.
So she was less interesting. Because she also wasn't, like, a great mastermind. She didn't have, like, a great plan. So she was half like they were expecting that was the reason why she was doing it. Mm-hmm. But they didn't have her character be that way.
Yeah. It was just
weird.
I forgot my phone instead. I was about to check something. But,
yeah.
No, it was just a...
weird movie.
She was a weird character. She was not written well. The roommate...
was funny.
The roommate and the dad
were hilarious.
The roommate was hilarious. The dad was a bit of like what you would expect in that caring father who just wants their... It's basically copy-paste of the dad from Happy Death Day. Of the caring father that just wants to move on and have the love of his daughter despite the fact that the mother's no longer with them.
This is nowhere near as good as Happy Death Day.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because Happy Death Day knew it was funny. This one didn't. Well, this one was trying to be serious, and it just missed its mark.
So this movie goes on pretty normal. You know, like, everything is happening, and reasonably real. You know, like, everything's flowing.
And then it just gets off the rails.
And then it goes off the rails. So all of a sudden, she like gets poisoned and kidnapped.
Yeah.
And then wakes up back in her apartment. But then no, really, she was kidnapped.
There was like a dream scene for no reason.
There was a dream scene an hour into this movie, and I was like. Yeah, nowhere in this movie has there been something even remotely mystical. But
the thing was, the dream scene was a...
double fake out.
Yeah, it was a double fake out. The dream scene made you think, oh, it was all this a dream? Which I was like, no, don't let that be the dream. This is the real dream. And then it was a real dream, which was so predictable. Because once you do...
It was a bad double fake out.
Yeah. It was so predictable. And then the dad, they were knowing about the stalker thing, and then the daughter just goes missing.
And the roommate thinks she's with the dad, and the dad thinks she's with the roommate.
And then when they figure it out, they don't go to the cops.
They go to a PI.
Yeah, why do you go to a freaking PI? How's that gonna help?
And the cops know who she is because she's been in the mental hospital and released.
She's got a file.
And so she uses one photo from her public Facebook to trick both the dad and the friend. So, like, one photo for the dad and one photo for the friend.
Yeah.
But wouldn't they have seen those already if they're on her Facebook? 1, 2, she pretends she doesn't know how to use a phone, and then all of a sudden she's so tech savvy that she could, like, log into her Facebook?
Yeah.
What? But not savvy enough to, like, not have to throw the bodies down the stairs? She literally throws them down the stairs and then, like, bump it up, all the way down.
Yeah.
Like, in the body bags. So, we hear from the widow that the daughter talked about being put in the box, and, like, there's gonna be a fucking box, and it's gonna be behind the piano, and then there's a box behind the piano, and she kidnaps her, she's in the box, and we have no idea how long she was kidnapped for.
No.
Because all of a sudden she's been conditioned as if she's been kidnapped for years. But her friend does, like, no one's aged, but, you know, when you're, and the friend comes, and she asks, how long was I here? She's like, it doesn't matter. Too long, or something like that.
Yeah, too long. That was what she said. And I was like, oh. And, okay, back up a bit before this friend showed up again.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just thinking about the friend.
So the PI came, and you're like, he's probably gonna die because he's a PI, not a cop.
So yeah, I whispered that to you in the theater.
So...
Or something like, oh, he's gonna die.
Yeah. So, frickin'... That noise was me moving my finger over my throat in a...
Were you threatening me?
No.
I don't know.
In a kind of matter. Sometimes it's just easier to explain things through sound effects. No, anyway. So the frickin' PI dies, and I feel if it was a cop, and the cop died and the cop went missing, that's why it wasn't a cop, because if it was, then the cops would have showed up and saved the day.
But the cops were incompetent in this movie.
I know.
No one ever came looking for her, even though they knew who kidnapped her.
Yeah. So then, months or so still, we don't know, go by.
Could be like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And she was just crazy herself, like the main girl.
Yeah. So it starts alluding as if, like, oh, she's gonna start doing it again to a different person? Okay.
So I was like, that's gonna be the end. She's just it's gonna fade to black somewhere.
Yeah, that was kind of like, that would be, that's a little unsatisfying, but okay. It's a bit of a natural end. Or even just...
Because we heard someone banging at the beginning, so it's full circle, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. But then... twist,
which I didn't see coming,
which I saw a little bit. I was like, because a bit of me was like, okay, so the dad tried his thing with the PI, now it's the
I didn't see it coming, and I usually see a twist a mile off.
I didn't know if it...
But...
I knew it was one of, or the other. It was either the roommate playing a joke, but it's also like, a wig doesn't change you that much. She was wearing a wig that... Like, we just saw her from behind, but Greta, like, saw her face to face. You would know that that's the frickin' roommate of who you have kidnapped.
Because she stalked her at one point as well.
Yeah. It's not like they never met before.
Yeah.
So she comes in and she, like, poisoned Greta.
Instead of Greta poisoning
with
her.
a roofie. Which, first of all, where'd this girl get a roofie?
Well, you can get a roofie.
Well,
I wouldn't know, but in the States, I'm sure you can.
In movies, you can, anyway. It's pretty common.
I forget me now.
We've been watching a lot of Arrested Development.
That was a really evil laugh, and it hurt my throat.
But no, so go to... So she's there, and she trying to find Chloe, what's her name?
Yeah.
Uh,
Main girl.
country girl. Small town. Whatever nickname I want to give her. So she's looking for her. In the meantime, she's like banging on the frickin' wall, and it's like, you noticed the banging earlier too, didn't she? So, wouldn't you notice it again?
Yeah. What was funny was I didn't realize. I thought this new girl had been poisoned and was going to be in the movie. Then all of a sudden Greta was on the ground. I'm like, oh shit!
Yeah.
I got real excited for that last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
After like dozing.
It was an up after a low, but it was still a bit of like a.
And then she gets
logic.
up from the roofie and like they fight a bit or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like,
But
she should be out cold. And they make that logic, too. It's like, she should be out cold, and then they can't find her, and it's like, what? And then she goes after them, but she's... And then, didn't she just, like, pass out on the floor?
I think so.
Did they shoot her?
No.
No.
Like how you looked at me like, did they shoot her? Like, side eye.
Yeah. The PI tried to shoot her.
No.
When she just weirdly danced away.
She's like, dee, 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 dee.
And then it was just her and like a twirling dance moment as the PI was slowly being poisoned.
Yeah. It was just so bad.
So then the roommate saves her, and there's no like recompense with the dad.
No. And there's no, she goes to jail, there's no nothing. It
like
just
at
ends.
least at the end of Happy Death Day with the same storyline of the dad. At least she goes and says, I'm sorry, I love you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
At the end. Where this, it's just, she doesn't do any of that. It just ends. It just ends with, oh, she's saved, but is she though? She's already pretty sick.
Yeah.
And tortured. And there
now
were
they have a
guns
corpse
flying in her room earlier, so we don't know if one of those bullets could have hit her.
Yeah, because it wasn't clear. But also, too, like, now they've killed this woman.
Yeah.
And these cops are so shit, they're going to just think that this roommate kills her or knocks her out or whatever. And they're not going to believe them because they've, like...
Didn't believe them before.
And they didn't call the cops before she did it or something. Like,
yeah. And
so
it's also...
So I don't even think they
murder someone to, like, save another person, it's not self-defense and that...
No. Like...
In legal terms.
And these cops were going to probably just jail up the roommate, you know?
Mm-hmm. Like, if someone had a gun to your friend's head and then you shot the guy with the gun to your friend's head, you'd still be going to jail for manslaughter.
But she didn't know for sure that she had her, so it wouldn't be self-defense. She suspected it, so she drugged her.
Yeah, exactly. And roofies are illegal, so the sheer fact that you had one...
Yeah.
And weren't they like, what now? It's like, let's call the police? Or were the police were already on their way, I think.
No, she said, let's call the police. She's like, no, and they didn't call the police.
Oh.
I hate things... Because now there's just corpses, this girl's DNA is everywhere, and it doesn't look good for any of them.
Yeah. It's...
I don't even know if I can keep talking about this movie. It's just making me hate it even more.
There was one other thing.
You're like holding your face.
Okay.
Alright, so this is our first 2-part podcast, so we're going to add a little extra at the end here.
We're just going to talk about a show we watched. It's been out for a bit. 2 seasons of it. It's on Netflix. It's called Ozark. You've probably heard of it. It's a really popular show.
Yeah, we just thought, hey, we just finished it. Let's add it into our podcast. Like, we know it's not brand new or anything, but whatever.
Pretty sure it's Jason Bateman's directorial debut.
Oh, he directed it.
Yeah, and he's co-creator too.
And he's the main character.
And producer and actor, yeah.
We're watching a lot of Jason Bateman shows. That's how we got into it.
We've been watching a lot of the same actors lately.
Yeah.
Jason Bateman,
Michael Cera.
Is it Sarah or Sierra?
Whatever.
I think it's Sarah. I just always thought it was Sierra and then was corrected and never changed.
Mm-hmm.
No, a lot of Jason Bateman, a lot of Michael Cera,
because we watched Juno and Arrested Development,
and Scott Pilgrim,
and Scott. Well, no, because that has Jason Bateman in it too. That's why I was like. Oh.
And we watched Scott Pilgrim because Michael Cera.
Yeah.
And then we watched.
Ozark, and I feel like
we watched Lego Batman recently, which is Will
Arnett.
What's his name? Will Arnett. There we go.
I never know names.
Will Arnett, also in Arrested Development, and then Ellen Page. Going back to Juno, Ellen Page is in Juno. We also watched another show that just came out with Ellen Page, and I earlier watched a movie on Netflix with Ellen Page.
We just were watching it not in like a theme way.
Not a theme. It's just like
just by actors.
Yeah, it's just like we're watching the show, and then it's like, oh, I like him in this, and I'm watching this now, so let's watch that.
Yeah, it was an interesting way to choose shows, but that's what we did. Yeah. So let's talk about Ozark.
So Ozark.
I missed the first episode because you started watching it.
I started watching it, and then you came home, and you were like, "I want to watch this with you."
Yeah, so I then became part of the watching.
So
that show got better and better. Well,
I still think the first season was better.
I think the first season was better, but at the beginning, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna hate all these people. I'm gonna hate Buddy. I'm gonna hate what's her name with the blonde hair." Like, I was gonna hate all these guys, and in the end, I'm like, "Not Buddy." I'm not giving that spoiler.
We're not going into spoilers for this.
I was kidding. I was making a joke. Oh my god.
Yeah. So full spoilers. You've probably already seen the show anyway.
Yeah.
Because my
mom's already seen it. I'm like, Mom, have you ever seen the show Ozark? She's like, yeah.
Can't wait for the third season to come out.
She's like, I watched it like a year ago. I'm like, oh.
Can't wait for the third season to come out.
Yeah.
But
better late than never.
Fiddling with that. And create background noise.
Sorry.
Ozark, first season was. Yeah, it kept getting better. You started out hating half the characters, and then you delve in more and got the understanding of it.
And we're full spoilers, right?
Yeah, full spoilers.
For example, Buddy, this gross, elderly, pervert, is living in their basement because
you start getting a little warm to him, but you're still a bit of he still rubs you wrong until the season finale of one where he helps save the family.
Yeah.
By shooting a cartel member.
Yeah. And I remember saying to you, oh, this guy shouldn't be around kids, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then, so he helps save them, and then he ends up, he was terminally ill, and that's why he was living in their basement. It was his home, and he was selling it before he died.
The first season, until that finale, we were just waiting for him to die. And then in the second season, we were all holding our breath every moment he would cough or end up in the hospital, because we were like, don't die, buddy, don't die. And then he finally did, and it's like, oh, the tears.
Honestly, though, I never thought I would like a creepy old pervert as much.
Yeah, and we gotta understand some of his backstory, too. He's been in this type of business before.
He helped the family so much. He
became a part of the family.
Yeah. He was just their grandpa now.
Yeah, basically.
But he was neither of their parents' but that's fine.
But Jason Bateman's character, the first season, he was kind of kept trying to get a way out, but also at the same time kind of knew he had to keep going no matter what.
Yeah.
And then the season finale of season 1, the kids and the wife are safe, and then the kids convince the wife, because the kids know in the show, unlike Breaking Bad, which is a similar kind of concept.
Yeah.
So they're like, we need to go back. We need to help Dad. And also in season 1, they did a flashback episode mid-season that took place before the first episode that you didn't see.
Yeah.
But in the first episode, after Jason Bateman's partner in the yeah, after his partner, his business partner, like the one he was working with, after he died, it framed it as if that was the first time he told her about all this, and she was just like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me! How could you do this to our family?" Blah
like
blah blah.
Skylar in
Kind of
Breaking
like
Bad,
Skylar in Breaking Bad,
which we've also been watching.
and then we see this flashback episode, and she's like,
"No, do it."
Yeah,
she's the one who said do it in the first place.
Yeah, he was kind of waffling. He was like, "Should I do it?" And it's like, my partner's kind of banking on you saying no. And then it's like, really? So let's do it. We can do it. We won't get caught.
And it sort of switches from him having put his family in this position to her keeping them in the situation.
Not so much. Yeah, a little bit. Not so much in the first season. Even after that.
Yeah.
After the flashback episode, it felt like, oh, so they're in it together from the beginning. So he was lying originally when he told the head of cartel in the first season that his wife didn't know.
But then her character progression turns her from like a victim, like Skylar, to the boss, to the matriarch. I was gonna say, like, of the family. Like, no. Like, the one getting things done. The one getting things done. The one pulling the trigger. Yeah. No, not literally, but figuratively pulling the trigger.
Like, the season 1 finale was like a oh shit, but the season 2 finale was like,
oh shit.
But it was like a slow burn oh shit.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to emulate.
It was like, they were almost out. They had all these plans. Everything was set up for them to go out. And then Wendy was just like, who is the wife? Wendy was just like, I think we could keep going. I think we got a home here. We don't need to run away to Australia anymore. We got a home here. We got friends here. Our kids are going to a good school.
We're gonna get the baby back of the man they murdered.
We'll figure everything out.
And now Jason Bateman has sort of switched roles, and and it's like, oh.
And it's like, it gets me excited for season 3.
I thought there was already 3 seasons out, so I was very disappointed.
Yeah. And then I think we're kind of doing more of a breakdown with this character by character.
Yeah, let's do a character.
That seems to be the structure we've naturally progressed into.
Well, that's just this story. That's the best way to talk about this particular show.
The son's progression was
so
really interesting.
Yeah.
Because at first we think he's like just this innocent little guy, and then we find out that he's like cutting up animal carcasses.
So then we think he's like some sort of serial killer in the making, you know?
And then we find out, no, it's just so he can research vultures.
Yeah.
Which is still a little bit of like but it's also like makes sense.
And he wants guns and stuff like that.
Yeah. So his character embraced the situation more than the rest of the most. Yeah. The rest of the family.
Like the situation of living in this small hunting town.
The rest of the family, even Jason Bateman, didn't like it because Jason Bateman, they were only put in the position because he had to lie out of his ass to stay alive.
Yeah.
But no, the boy, who also, side note, same actor as young Daredevil. In Daredevil.
The Netflix one, not the movie.
Yes, not the Ben Affleck movie. To bitch on Ben Affleck even more. But no. So his progression also is he keeps getting darker and darker and more criminally
inclined.
Yeah, inclined, but like Gus Fring type criminal, like calculating.
You think he's gonna be just some sort of little psychopath because he's shooting guns, he's doing all this sort of stuff, but no, he's more like in an organized crime kind of way.
Which is great.
Which is interesting. Well, and not also, great, but
yeah. And there's also, he had a bit of like a after Buddy died, he kind of got upset about he got upset about death.
Yeah.
Like he didn't care about death before. It was kind of like a shit happens, and then the person that he cared about, who he considered his only friend, as he said in the speech.
Yeah.
At the funeral, he was like, "Oh, That's when he stopped liking the deer head of his first deer that he killed, or was it a moose? It was a deer. Yeah, the deer that the one of the villains made for him.
Yeah, because he like took him hunting in a like sort of a
all
intimidation
the bad guys
thing.
Work with the good guy. All the bad guys work with the family in this one.
Yeah.
And then let's finish off the family, the daughter.
Yeah.
Her arc was
no, we didn't finish this. There's more.
There's more you want to talk about?
Yeah. So him and the daughter steal about 5,000 apiece.
Yeah.
So, and then he goes and uses his fake identity, which they're supposed to use to run away, and to open a bank account to launder money from an illegal homework
to do
ring.
Himself.
Homework ring. So
not even that. It was some of the money he and his sister stole from the cartel.
Oh, sorry. So he uses the 5,000 and launders it with an offshore account, and then he's bringing in money from an illegal, like, doing their homework ring at school. And I'm like, this 12-year-old is like a mini-me of his father, but he's like way smarter than his father and his mother. He's like way more into it, and it's just crazy. Whereas, so then the daughter starts off, doesn't have as much of a progression as the rest of them.
Yeah, the daughter, the core four of the family, she is the only one that's not like a main character, I think. She's still a big part of the story, but her character progression, her character arc is, I hate this, what you're doing is wrong, or I hate that you put our family in this position, but we're gonna get out of it eventually, and I guess I'll have to accept it. She's been slowly befriending Wyatt Langmore, which we'll get to the rest of the Langmores later.
Yeah.
And Wyatt.
And she's just more like rebellious.
And she starts getting rebellious, and then she remembers a kid from Chicago who is emancipated, and she files for emancipation.
Yeah.
And then at the end, the dad coerces her to stay with the family because he thinks that they're gonna go away. So then she's kind of with them a bit, and she thinks she's gonna stay with them because they feel that they're out. And then the mom's like, we're still in it.
And he's like, I won't fight the emancipation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she was right. And what's interesting
right
about her versus Jonah is that he embraces it and she rejects it. So you get to see both sides, which is really interesting. Of the dynamic, which is really interesting because neither is...
Which is really anything for like a big change in a family too.
Yeah, which is really cool. And it's really well done. Like, yeah, hers doesn't have too much to do except that she helps link everybody together.
A little bit.
She's not as intense. No, I mean, like, to the Langmores, because they're more involved because she's, with Wyatt and whatever, and, she's working at the Blue Cat.
The Langmores are kind of like a family friends a bit.
Yeah.
Not only just because of that, but other things.
Yeah, but that's what sort of keeps them together.
A little bit more.
Yeah, a little bit more. It's
There's
sort of like it causes more goodwill between them so that they can work together.
It causes more grilled. Well, not necessarily the Langmores specifically, but
Ruth.
Ruth, that was her name. Which we'll start with Ruth.
So Ruth is the eldest of the Langmore children.
Yeah.
She's sort of like the mother hen to her two cousins.
When we're introduced to the Langmores, we're introduced to Ruth, Wyatt, 3?
3.
Was his name actually 3?
Yeah.
I was starting thinking in that last episode it might have been Freed.
I think it's 3. Well, for the whole time we've heard 3. We've never looked at it with subtitles. We're just going to roll with that at this point.
It's also that accent's a little bit.
Yeah.
hard to understand a bit.
It sounds like 3.
3?
Yeah. And then the 2 uncles whose names I don't remember.
And then 2 uncles, yeah, because they died at the end of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still big parts, especially not the one, but the
other,
the main uncle, the
with
one that was
the
kind of the.
You're miming a beard. I'm like the one with the beard.
Yeah, but like the one that was kind of the father figure.
Well, he was the literal father of 3 and Wyatt.
I thought he was only the father of Wyatt. I thought the other one was the father of 3.
I think they're 3 and Wyatt are brothers.
I thought they were cousins. They might be brothers.
They might be both.
Oh boy. So,
it's a small town.
Anyway, so like he's the father figure, he's the authority figure, and then Ruth is kind of like, you guys always fuck this shit up, so I'm in charge this time. I'm in charge of the money. I'm in charge of taking care of Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
So she takes charge pretty early on.
Yeah.
And she coerces her way into Jason Bateman's money laundering operation. And then by just the end of season 1, she becomes quite a big player, so big that she can't have Jason Bateman die.
No. But her uncles are still trying to kill him and steal all his money.
But also part of that is the one uncle is working for started having a gay relationship with the FBI who was undercover.
Yeah.
And then ended up becoming a rat. So...
a confidential informant.
Also known as a rat. And being bugged and such.
Wearing a wire.
Yeah, wearing a wire.
I'm like, you're not using the right words.
He wasn't wearing
You said
the wire.
she.
He wasn't wearing the wire.
Just because he's gay doesn't mean he uses female pronouns.
It's because there was another character that wears a wire that is a she.
Yeah.
But no, so he is very much... He kind of is backed into a corner where he has to kill him to get anywhere, to get out of this. Because the FBI guy tricked him and coerced him and made him confess into wanting to kill Jason Bateman. So, at the season finale, Ruth kills both the uncles because they're going to go kill Jason Bateman, and also because she figured out that he was a rat. So she does that.
To protect herself and to protect Marty Bird.
And the gay uncle, the main uncle, was also Wyatt's father.
Yeah.
So...
I think he's 3's father, but we don't know.
Yeah. And we also learn why both her mother and father weren't in the picture at the beginning of season 1 too, is because her father is in jail and her mother was murdered by her father.
How is he out?
Good behavior. Parole.
You don't get paroled for murder.
Well, good behavior and parole, that's how he's out. Murder isn't always for life. Not all the time.
Most 99% of the time.
You can still get out for good behavior a lot of the time if it's like a first time thing done in anger, which we don't know how she died. So like how that went down of him killing her. So
I didn't know that. I missed that.
Oh.
Anyway.
I'm pretty sure. No, because that's why in season 2 he kept threatening Ruth. And season 2 he messes up the relationship with Ruth and Marty a lot.
Yeah.
Because they're in good standings. She's starting to get ahead. She's starting to change the Langmore curse, as Wyatt puts it later on in the season. She's starting to make sure the kids always go to school.
And she's her kid herself. She's only like 21.
Yeah, I think she was 19 at the beginning of season 1.
But she's running the strip club and doing a good job. Like, she's a big player in the money laundering business. She goes from not having anything, not even a high school education, to being
in a multi business operating,
and she's doing a fantastic
office.
job, and she's doing it proper, and she's like actually could run a real business, not just a criminal business. Like, brings out the best in her.
But then season 2, the father comes and I could not understand why she would still stand by him so often. It was a bit of like why do you keep staying? Why do you keep listening to him?
Yeah.
He killed your mother. That should have been the first time you gone away from him. He was the one telling you to kill Marty in the first place.
Yeah.
So season 2, he gets out of jail, gets out on parole partly because she was able to account for him, to be like, my father, he made a mistake, he's a good man on the inside, blah blah blah, he never did anything wrong before this, he'll never do anything wrong again. I feel like I sound like someone else, but I don't know who it is, like some famous person. I sound like Kennedy. That's what it sound like. Do you agree?
I don't know what he sounds like.
JFK? You don't know what JFK sounds like? You've never heard JFK speak in anything. Well, I know that's... You've said you've seen First Class. There's some news footage of JFK having a speech in First Class.
Do I remember? No. Come on,
okay.
Hurry up.
So... Yeah, that's basically... And Wyatt feels he has this curse because of his family. In season 2, he kind of steps up a bit in terms of character, where season 1 he was just kind of this jerk that befriends the daughter, where season 2 he actually
stoner genius
starts to become his own thing a bit, because he's actually really smart, and Ruth helps show that, and he is getting into college for the most part by the end of season. Like, he's accepted into the college. So, and he just, the whole time, the one thing that was like keeping him there was he didn't know what happened to his dad, and he thought it was Marty the whole time until Ruth came clean to him. Yeah. So there's a lot more we could talk about.
The Snells.
The Snells, they were...
crazy, and they continue to be.
They were crazy, continued to be. It was kind of... Their deal at the end of season 1 was just that, a deal of... They... Both them and the cartel and Marty kind of didn't want to make this deal, but they kind of felt out of necessity and of greed that they had to make it.
Yeah.
The wife in particular was the crazy one. Like,
killing random people, just...
She even killed her freaking husband in the end.
Yeah. All to get a baby.
Yeah.
And to have her property. I'm like, is she the Snell or is he? Why does it matter to you?
And the priest, he's kind of introduced as his own character a bit, not in this drug cartel a bit, but then once we find out more about the Snells, we understand that the Snells are using his congregation as a front.
Yeah.
Without his knowledge.
So his life gets fucked over because he doesn't want to preach to the stoners anymore.
And then so his wife gets... his pregnant wife gets murdered, and baby gets forced to deliver or something like that.
They cut her belly open while she's alive, steal the baby, and she bleeds out and dies.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of murder that is.
They didn't say exactly what...
She says she delivered the baby.
She says she delivered the baby.
So the only way to deliver a baby like that without any medicine is to just cut it out.
Yeah. So...
And she said she was going to cut it out of her.
Yeah. Yeah, so she died, and the husband kind of goes on a whole... and he's preaching in the streets, being like, even if you think you're a Christian, you're a sinner, blah, 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 blah. Until police show up and say, hey, we were not related to anything else, but they show up take the child because he's just leaving the child out in the cold as he's preaching for hours on end.
So he kidnaps Wendy and
to try and get the child
so
back.
they get the child out of protective services. Like, if they're just the strengths these people will go to, the lengths people will go to get the things, and then they ended up killing him because he went crazy, and now they have this baby, his baby, so they give it to Mrs. Snell because she wants it, but now they're gonna get it back.
They were keeping the baby for the most part. They only gave it to the Snells because Marty was like, we have to go, so we can't bring the baby with us.
And that's what she wants, and we need to open this casino.
Yeah. So they did that.
Yeah. And that's Ozark.
There's also the Blue Cat lady. She was a big role a bit.
Where she just, like, she was the next informant after the guy, but she ends up being able to throw him.
And in the first season, she was, like, kind of put into a situation she didn't want to be in.
She didn't know about it for the longest time.
Yeah, and then once people started dying, she ran, stole some guitar money, cartel money, and ran.
Yeah.
And then became a stoner because of it.
The show's pretty complex. I recommend you watch it
if you haven't already.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, all the characters are good. One thing is the tone is a very serious tone, so you can't, like, watch a lot of episodes in a row. You have to kind of be in the right mind for it. You can't be, like, if you're in the need for cheering up, this is not your show.
No. But it was good.
Yeah. I think that's everything.
See you next time, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yes.